We continue our worship series that, as I mentioned earlier, is called Whose Life Is This Anyway? So out of curiosity, how many of you have ever seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? Raise your hand. So lots of people, good. For those of you who haven't seen that show, it's basically a troupe of improv actors, and they put on these little sketches for the viewing audience. And not a lot of it is planned ahead of time, but it is a network TV show, and it works for these improv actors to put on these sketches, and it's actually pretty hilarious. So our name, Whose Life Is It Anyway, is a little bit of a take on that TV show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Throughout this worship series, we are talking about 7 different principles of improv theater. And we're asking ourselves, how can we apply these principles from the art of improv theater to our own lives and to our faith? Can we look at these 7 principles and say, they actually mean something to us? They can teach us some things about life. So last week, Pastor Dan took on the first 2 principles, the principle of yes and the principle of and. He talked about those in worship. And kind of the lessons in this is that we say yes to what comes at us in our lives. We say yes to the opportunities that come our way. We say yes to God's love in our life. We say yes even to difficult situations that come our way. Because when we own and when we accept and we acknowledge what has come into our life, at that point we can say and now what? We can offer our own contribution to what's come to us so that we can move forward in our lives. Confirmands, in some ways, you're doing the yes part of this today. You are saying yes publicly to your faith today. I know Amy has talked to you a lot about that, how today is a public affirmation, a public yes to God, but that many times throughout your life, you're going to get this opportunity to say, yes, God, yes, God, yes, God, yes, God. So our principle for today is called Train Your Vision. That's the principle for today, train your vision. So improv actors have to be able to pay attention to a lot that's going on around them. Okay, so they're out there with these other actors, and these other actors are throwing things at them as part of these sketches, and they really have to train their vision to see what's happening, what's not happening, and then also train their vision to see what possibilities there could be there too. And this really does apply to our lives, if you think about it. In our own lives, we need to pay attention. We need to be mindful. We need to see what's there. We need to see what's not there. And we need to see what possibilities might be there, could be there. So actors, improv actors, they play a game called What Else Could This Be? To help them train their vision, to help them think about possibilities and what else might be out there. So, does this look familiar, confirmands and families? Yes, this does look familiar. Good. Just 3 weeks ago, I played this game with our confirmation families. What else could this be? On Friday, I also put it up on my Facebook page. I put a picture of a pool noodle up on my Facebook page, and I asked the question, what else do you use pool noodles for except for being a pool noodle? I think I'm up to like 35 different suggestions from the Facebook world about what pool noodles can be used for. I haven't checked this morning. There might even be more than that up there overnight. So we are going to play this game now. So this is a pool noodle. What is it made for? What is it designed for? What do you do with this? Its main purpose? Right, you float in a pool on it, right? Yeah, this is a flotation toy that you use in a pool. That is what it is made for, what it is designed for. But what else could this be? What else could you do with this thing? So take a moment and think, everybody. Take a moment and think. What else could you do with this? Okay, when you have an answer, raise your hand. Keep thinking. If you don't have an answer yet, keep thinking. Keep your hands up. What else could you use this for? Okay, who am I going to call in? Max, what else could you use this for?
Well, you can't according to the warning on the package, but I think if you try hard enough, this could be a life-saving device.
Right. You're not supposed to use it as a life-saving device, but you can use it as a life-saving device. Right. It could be a very soft weapon if you're in an argument with your siblings. Yeah.
Can be used as a baseball bat for practicing?
Yes, actually, I have some coaches on my Facebook page that use pool noodles for a lot of things. But yes, you could use it as a watch out, Eli. You could use it as a baseball bat in practice. Ken, what do you got? Oh, like this? Oh, this is a rainbow to go under as you enter the church. Good. Okay, anybody else want to toss one out? Okay, Eli, we got you. A straw, maybe. Good luck. One more. We'll do this one here. You could measure something with it, couldn't you? When you don't have a tape measure, if you need to match something up, you could mark it and then you could use it. Yeah. My favorite one on my Facebook was I have a high school classmate that's a race car driver now, and he said that he covers parts of the inside of his car with the pool noodle so that if he gets into a car crash, it protects him. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know if a pool noodle would be strong enough for that if you got into a crash, but sure. Yeah. Yeah, so there's lots of possibilities for what a pool noodle can be. And this is a game, like I said, that improv actors play to help them kind of train their vision on what possibilities could be. Confirmands, in some ways, we could play this game around confirmation. We could ask the question, what is confirmation? And each of you probably would come up with a different possibility of what confirmation means to you. Like we said earlier, Amy talks about confirmation as making a public yes. One opportunity in your life that you're going to have the ability to say yes to God. The United Methodist Church talks about confirmation as you confirming the baptism vows that were made for you when you were an infant or when you were a child. A few weeks ago, I talked to you about confirmation being a means of grace. This is a human activity that we've created that we do so that we can experience God's love and presence in our life. And I talked to you a few weeks ago about how confirmation is a ritual, a historic ritual, a traditional ritual that you're taking part in, and how many people have gone before you and taken part in this ritual. That's part of what confirmation is. If you walk down the hallway to the fellowship hall and you look at the wall, you are going to see pictures of people who have participated in this ritual, and now you are going to join all this line of people here today. Confirmation is all of these things when we recognize that we bring understandings to it. I want to talk about our scripture today. Our scripture today is about three women, Naomi and Ruth and Orpah. It is out of the book of Ruth. To set this story up for you, Naomi and her husband lived in a place called Israel, ancient Israel. And at one point, there was a great famine that came over Israel. And in order for Naomi and her husband to be able to take care of their family, their two sons, they immigrated. They had to leave Israel, and they made their way to a place called Moab, and they raised their sons there. And while they were there, their sons grew up, and they married two Moabite women. One of the women was named Ruth, and the other woman was named Orpah. And things were okay for them there in Moab, but then something tragic happened. All three of the husbands passed away. Naomi's husband, Ruth's husband, Orpah's husband. This was not expected. This was not part of the plan. They are now operating off script. Here they are, these three women, trying to figure out what to do now that their husbands had passed away. So Naomi, she kind of gets a vision for what needs to happen. She sees what's happening. She thinks, you know what, I think that this is what we need to do, and she explains it. She says, I need to go home to Israel, to my people, and you both need to stay here in your homeland and find new husbands to take care of you. And here's how that scripture goes. Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find security, each of you, in the house of your husband. Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. So it was Naomi's vision. But Ruth and Orpah, they had a different idea. They had a different vision of what needed to happen. They said to her, no, we will return with you to your people. So Naomi is like, you know, this situation is too dire. You don't understand. I am like baggage to you right now. There's nothing that I can do to offer you. Really, it would be better if I went and you stayed. But Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me. Well, at this point, Orpah saw what Naomi was seeing, and she did turn back. But Ruth still had this other idea. She had this other thought in her mind. She had a different plan, and she continues to try to explain to Naomi what she needs to happen. And here's how that goes. Then they wept aloud again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, see, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There will I be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you. Upon hearing this, Naomi gives in. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. None of these women anticipated their life taking this turn, not in one bit. The plans for their life were completely blown up. They were improvising here. They were off script, off their plan. And the obvious thing to Naomi was for Naomi to go home and for the women to stay and find new husbands. But Ruth played the pool noodle game. Ruth asked herself, what else could this be? Are there other possibilities here? She didn't know how it was going to turn out. She simply was trying to be faithful. And God did protect her and Naomi on their journey back to Israel and then in the new family that they established. I don't want to spoil the whole rest of the story for those of you who don't know it, but I invite you sometime this week to go home and read how things turned out for Naomi and Ruth. So confirmands, today you are taking this step. You are taking this step to say yes to God And as you take that step, I want to challenge you to a few things. I want you to train your vision to see what is happening now, what is right in front of you. As you come up today and you kneel, I want you to pay attention to what is happening to you in this moment. What does this feel like to have these hands laid on you in love? And confirmands, I challenge you to this. When your faith starts to feel boring and blah, I want you to play the pool noodle game with it. I want you to ask yourself, what else could my faith be? When you make your own plans, we hope that you look to God for the purpose in your life. And confirmands, when your plans do not go like you expected them to go, we want God to show you the possibilities. We want you to look to God so that you can see the possibilities to make your way through. And it's there in those moments, confirmands, that you are going to experience a God that is a God of love and abiding presence in your life.